So last week there was this big huge wasp making this nest over here. I can't really get it into focus because it's through a glass window. But you can kind of see that there are holes in it now, and I could not figure out why there were holes in it, except like other than the wasp didn't live there anymore. Let me zoom that out. But I've been watching it, and there are hornets coming over and eating it. Like they're stealing the paper from it to make their own nests. So I don't know if the hornets killed the wasp and took the nest over, or if they just found the nest and the wasp hasn't been back for whatever reason. It was a big wasp. It was like this big, so I'd be pretty impressed if the hornets killed it, because the hornets are only like that big. But hornets are mean. Alrighty, welcome back to the homestead. It's actually been a couple weeks since the last video because I lost my footage for the video that was supposed to come out between this one and the last one. I don't know where I put it. I have a SIM card or an SD card or whatever it was on, and I took it out so that my sister could use my camera, but I don't know where I put it, so I'll probably find it, but not until after this video has been posted, at which point it'll be redundant and unnecessary. So I'm just gonna go over what I've done in the last couple weeks, and I don't even actually know where the last video I posted ended, so we might go over some things that I've already gone over. But I do know there's plenty that you guys haven't seen. Also, Lilith found her pop-pop, her little ball. Can we see the ball? Can I see it? I don't know where she found it. We call it the pop-pop because she sticks it in her mouth and pops it. Can you pop-pop? It used to be pink, but it's been missing since the beginning of this year, so I don't know where she found it. Yeah. Alrighty, so in Garden 1, it looks super different than last time. All of the potatoes are growing really well. Even better than when I last saw them, which was like 4 days ago, because I went away for a little bit. So that's black potatoes, red potatoes. I can't see very well because I don't have my tripod right now. Actually, I can go get it. My truck is back. I'll tell you the story about my truck in a second. So I am next to my truck, and that's not very weird, except for the fact that I didn't expect my truck to be here when I got back from town, because I left the parking brake off and it rolled into a ditch and landed on a rock that we couldn't get it off of. So we told one of my uncles that, because it's just been sitting in the ditch. We weren't going to get it that day. And he went and rescued it for me. It doesn't look like we damaged anything. The alignment might be off, but other than that, there's nothing leaking, which is all I care about. So the truck lives to see another day, and I officially have my stupid first car story. Hopefully we don't end up with another stupid first car story. So always leave your parking brake on. We're starting to get spots on the apples again, and I still don't know if it's rust or not, because this one's spots went away. So it might be mold. I mean, well, rust is mold, but it might be a different kind of mold, like just a fungus that can go away. Look at this apple. This apple's like a real funny color. Like, all of these I grow from seeds, so it's just kind of whatever seeds I had. So in the first garden, we have done a lot. Actually, the apples, I just realized, were in the video I didn't show you. So we planted like 7 apples, and we've been having problems with weird spots on them. So that is the explanation for what I said. But over here, our potatoes are doing amazing, even better than they were 4 days ago when I went to town. Over here, I've actually bought some plants to put in this planter, because I was still worried about my squash not sprouting. Well, you didn't know about that either, because that was in the video I can't find. So I planted a bunch of squash seeds, and they weren't sprouting as quickly as I felt like they should be, so I started getting nervous that the heat wave we had might have fried them, and some of them did end up fried. But I'll go over what happened with those guys in a minute. So I ended up buying some squash instead, and what I bought were 2 different kinds of yellow zucchini. So we have standard yellow zucchini, and we have an Easy Pick Gold yellow zucchini. And these 2 I bought because when I went to the greenhouse, the owner said that she didn't actually know what the difference was, so if I grow them, to report back to her and tell her what they're like. Right here we've got a mystery squash, and it is a squash. I was gonna say and or melon, but it's definitely a squash. I saw the seed. So I have no idea what this is. Judging by the leaf shape, I think it's a pumpkin, but I could be wrong. I don't know where it came from. It was in a pot, but it wasn't in a pot that I planted, so I think maybe it was a seed that fell on the ground and my grandma planted it in a pot, and so we have ended up with a mystery squash this year, despite all efforts to prevent such a thing. In here we had cucumbers that we bought from the store, but they immediately died. They got sunburnt and died. We have beans over here. So these are our snow peas. I'm so excited to see them growing because those are the first seeds I have ever saved myself. So I did it right. They lived. And now we have snow peas growing. We also have wax beans growing over here, which I'm gonna pickle. So just 2 of them so far. But I'll water those guys today. And we have runner beans that are sprouting. These are the black coat runner beans, and I loved them last year because they taste like an edamame, like a soybean. They taste like a soybean, and they have a fuzzy skin like a soybean, but you can eat the skin unlike a soybean. So you can fry them in an air fryer or you can bake them, and they're really awesome. In here, on the same day that I started those apples, or the same day that I transferred those apples out of the greenhouse, I put these seeds in the greenhouse. So we have a whole tray of greenhouse apples that need moved to pots, actually, because they're getting their first real leaves. And look, we have another like odd colored one. I really like these guys, these red leaved ones. I don't know which those are. Maybe the pink ladies. I'll go over this in a minute because that's like a whole experiment I'm doing. I'm gonna move those to the other greenhouse. Right here we have some chocolate mint, which is like my favorite thing ever, but I have to put it in a pot because otherwise it's gonna invade my garden because mint is a weed. Over here are the original set of squash that I started. And so we have 2 sugar babies, which are not squash, they're melons. 2 sugar babies sprouting. We have an Ichiba Kuji sprouting. We have these guys, which are the Black Beauties, which is why I did not need to buy more Black Beauties, but I'll give those to somebody. And we have 3 luxury pie pumpkins, which I'm mostly growing because I thought they were really pretty last year. And then I started another set of squash seeds, so since those guys are sprouting, even though I didn't think they were going to, we're gonna have a lot more of them, so we're gonna have to figure out what to do with all these freaking squash. Either find space for them or give them away. We do have a community garden, so usually I leave my leftover plants in the community garden for people to take. There's one. So you're probably wondering what exactly these freaks of nature I have in this cart are, and I can barely keep a straight face because they're still the stupid. I introduced them in the video footage I lost. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's called a tomato rocket. It's an as seen on TV thing. I bought it at a garage sale, and basically what it is it's this pod of tomato seeds that you plant, and they start growing, and that's just what they do. They grow like 50 tomatoes. And so where I'm taking these stupid little tomato rockets is my greenhouse, which I don't know if you guys have seen yet. I don't know if that was in the video I lost or the last video I posted. It's just a basic metal frame, plastic sided greenhouse, nothing exciting. That's where we're gonna grow the melons, but I'm also gonna put the tomato rockets in there, just so that they're not taking up space in my tiny greenhouse. There are spit bugs like literally everywhere, and I don't know why. I've even sprayed this plant, so they're gonna be right there, right inside the door. This is where our Japanese melons are gonna go if they ever sprout. I did have 2, but the slugs ate them. And then right here, we have a couple sugar babies, if I can get them in frame. Those are store-bought, but I do actually have sugar baby seeds sprouting, so that whole row is going to be watermelons, but it's going to be 2 different kinds, sugar babies and blacktail. Over here we have 2.5 kabochas. One of them broke in half and it broke its growth node off, so I don't know if that's going to grow anything at all. But the other two are fine. They're going to trail out here like they did last year. We also have honey nut honey nut squash, which are like a butternut squash but super orange. And we've got 3 of those that we bought. We've got a whole thing of jalapenos and other peppers over here, as well as 1 tomato. That's my grandmother's tomato. She wanted it over here. And over here we have 2 spaghetti squashes. And I do have a spaghetti squash hybrid that I'm growing this year if it sprouts. And a butternut, a regular butternut. Are you helping? Yes. Yes, you're helping. And then the last thing I did, and I do know that this was in the other video, I started planting wild strawberries in this bed here. And so hopefully by next year they'll be pretty established and we'll get some wild strawberries. They really only produce fruit like once every couple of years, but they're just cool to have. Alright, and now we have the tour out of the way. I'm gonna plant a couple of those sprouts that are sprouting in the little greenhouse, the squashes and things. And there's a couple melons in there as well. And then I'm gonna water everything. My favorite time of the day when I have to drag water everywhere. Good morning, it is June 9th. It's raining. The dog is not pleased with that because she hates the rain. And I just found my stupid tomato rocket paper, so we're gonna look at that. Basically all it is a little blue pod with fertilizer and like hundreds of seeds in it, and as far as the instructions say, all you do is plant it and then water it twice a day and maybe put a support on it. I'm sure if you went on the website it would be like, oh, prune them and fertilize them and all that stuff, but the people who are buying these things are people who don't know how to garden, so they're not looking for extra information on their tomato rocket, they're just accepting it for fact. So it actually came with 2 of them, so what I'm doing is growing one the way the instructions say and one the way I think will actually work, because you can grow tomatoes in like bunched together like that. I've never done that many in a pot together, but not just by watering it. There's a lot of stuff you have to do. So I thought it was the funniest thing ever. They're in this greenhouse right now because I planted them so late. I need them to have a longer season. But the 2 we have this one, which is the one I am growing the way I think will work. And then we have this one, which I'm growing the way the instructions say. It looks sadder just because it got kind of squished. And these guys are poppies, because I actually totally forgot that this pot was for the poppies. I spent my morning tidying up this corner of the camper. You can't really see it. It looks like chaos no matter what. But I still need to do the counter. And then there's still some stuff sitting on the floor. But most of that will get put away soon. Especially the heater, because it's warm enough now that I don't need the heater. As usual, the dog thinks I control the rain. So she's over here complaining at me because it's rainy and she can't go outside. Lily, come on! Come on! We've got to go see Grandmama. Come on! I know, it's raining. Oh my god. You can't stay here all day. You'll eat something you're not supposed to. The slugs have claimed another victim. This guy, although it might be okay, it might still grow a center leaf. And this guy, it ate the growth node off of it. It didn't eat it, it just chewed it off. So I have officially bought some slug stuff. I bought the Bonides Slug Magic, so we'll see if that works. I'm really stupid. I spent like 25 minutes, 40 minutes, like just reading everything on this label. to try and figure out if it was organic certified. And it literally has an organic gardening label right there. I didn't see that. Our demon circles are placed. That's not exactly how you're supposed to do it, but my garden's a little bit weird compared to the setup of most people's. So that's the best I could figure out for the method. I seriously need to come in here and trim down all these, but oh well. Oh, I also need to water these fruit trees that are down here, so I'm gonna do that right now. Our second tomato rocket is starting to catch up. Overall though, its sprouts are just so much smaller, and I almost wonder if it is because I didn't fertilize this one. Because this is the one that I'm growing the way I want, and this is the one that I'm growing as per the instructions, and the instructions did not say to fertilize, so I didn't. But that's the only thing I can think of for it to be, like, not necessarily for it to have fewer plants, because that's just the number of seeds that it had, but for them to be so small and scraggly. Our doofy cherry tree is growing branches. It has one here, and then it has one here. And then it has some little tiny ones starting. But that makes me very happy. I have officially started, well actually I'm almost done, but I have officially started and nearly completed the tedious process of pulling all the petals out of my dandelions I picked. So I'm putting all the petals in this jar and all the green bits in here, and those will go in the compost bin. Once I've done that, I'm gonna see about getting the ingredients for my first batch of dandelion honey, and then I will try and make that, because I would like to do an experimental batch soon and figure out if the recipe I've put together will work. I love these old candy jars. I just like being able to see all the petals. So it will make them fade faster, but I'm planning to use all of them this year. So I'm not really going to have leftovers to worry about fading. I'm officially done with the dandelions. I think I have about 6 cups, because I think this is an 8-cup jar. So that should be enough for at least 3 batches of dandelion honey. So I'm very excited about that. And now it is officially red clover season, so I need to start picking those, because I also want to make red clover honey. My grandmother took some balloons with her, and the dog is flipping out because she wants the balloons. She took your balloons! Oh my god! Oh, Grandmama took your balloons. She's decided to look on the bed to see if there's any more. You don't get any balloons. You would die. You would eat them and die. She knows that they came out of that box. She just doesn't understand how. Good morning. It's a very hot day. I just washed my hair. So there's not too much I'm gonna do, because I can't really water anything until the sun goes down a little bit so that it doesn't boil my plants. So me and Lilith are just hanging out in one of the campers. She's over there on her cool spot on the tile. I might drive my truck down to the diner and do some stuff on the internet, but other than that, it's gonna be a pretty slow day. I finished doing all my dandelions. I went out and picked 1 or 2 red clovers, but it's still super early in the red clover season, so there aren't a lot of those yet. My grandmother and I volunteered at a thrift store, and while we were there, she ran off. While we were there, Lilith stole a ball from one of the shelves, which is actually the exact same way that she got her gross Hello Kitty over here. She stole it from a shelf at the thrift store. She'll like walk over. Come here, show them your ball. She'll like walk over to the shelf real sneaky, find something she likes, she'll take it, and then she'll get back in the car with it. Which is usually how we know she stole something, because she doesn't voluntarily go in the car unless we tell her to. She's trying to make it pop like her Pop Pop, but it does not make any pop noises. It went from being pretty much sunny to stormy out, so in the next few minutes it's probably gonna start raining. We're trying to get the dog to come inside. She hates the rain. She'll come in once it starts raining, but since it's not raining yet, she's just playing with her bouncy ball. But yeah, it was perfectly sunny. There were no clouds. And now it's rainy. I knew there might be a chance of rain, so I only watered my shallow root plants, like my peas, not even my peas, my carrots and stuff, since they still need to sprout. But I left all the deep root plants, like the trees and things, because I knew it might rain. And they got water about 3 days ago from our last rainstorm, so I didn't want to water them again if I didn't have to. Lily! Come running! It's raining! It's raining! It's raining! Oh! Come running! Yeah, come running!
Oh gosh!
Is it time to eat your food for once now that you can't play? Now that you can't play outside, you actually eat your food. She's all wet and she was only outside for like 30 seconds. You're all watery.
Well, beat me back in.
She did. She was trying to save her ball. Did you see that?
I know, and then she gave that up.
Yeah, and then she panicked and kept running. Are you taking a power nap now that it's raining? Now that it's raining and you can't play, you're a dead dog. She's like, is it still raining? It is still raining. It's very cold rain. It feels like ice.
Does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Even though it was hot today. Good morning. It is June 16th. Me and the doggy are sitting here. You look so sad. My grandma's about to leave, so she's sitting here staring longingly out the window at her car. You're dad. You can play as soon as she's gone. Yes. It did rain last night. A little bit, enough that I don't need to water this morning. But it's sunny now, so we're gonna go around and see if we can find any carrot sprouts, because I still have no carrot sprouts. I'll be very sad if we get no carrots this year, but if we get no carrots, then I'm gonna plant something else in that bed. I just haven't decided what. Maybe potatoes. Alrighty, let's go to the garden. We might also film at the thrift store I volunteer at. But we'll see if I end up going in there. Oh, I need this, because we have aphids, so I need to put some soap water on some of the bushes. Are we gonna go look at the carrots? Cows are being noisy. So in that one little flash rainstorm, we got a good foot of water in here, because I emptied out a couple tubs worth of it in advance because I knew it might rain. And it got down to, I think, the middle line, so we got quite a bit of rain. We don't have the old filter on here that I used to, so now there's just like leaves and stuff in it. I still do not see any carrots, so I don't know why carrots are not growing this year, because this is the second batch I've planted. And last year we had no problems with them. And I planted them 3 different ways, so at least one of them should have worked. The toadstools are gradually taking over the tomato bed. They're just kind of appearing everywhere. They're sort of funny to watch. Like, you'll see one and then the next day there'll be like 20 of them. I need to trim out some of the grass that's growing here. But some of it I'm actually going to leave, because some of these plants like shade, and some of them are in such direct sunlight that I want them to have shade. But I'm going to have to go through and cut some grass down. The growth bud is where all the new leaves come from, so until it grows a new one, we're not going to have any tomatoes or any new leaves on here. It will eventually grow a new one. I just don't remember how long that takes, because we did have a couple last year that had that problem. It shriveled up. But this one's okay, so that's good. All the other tomatoes are doing great. Their stalks are a lot thicker than they used to be. Because when we first planted them, they were scrawny and noodly. And now they're pretty thick, pretty dense. This one's even growing buds, but I will be pulling the buds off because I want them to get a little bit taller before they start growing fruit. So I'm gonna prune those guys. So this pear tomato here actually has 2 growth nodules. It's forked in the middle, because it has one here and it has one here. And normally I would just pick the nicer one and cut off the other so that I would have a straight plant. But we actually bought a cherry tomato at the greenhouse this year where they pruned it to have 3 growth nodules. So it's like this big bushy plant with 3 different stalks. And I kind of liked that for the cherry tomatoes. And since the pear tomatoes are small tomatoes, I think I'm gonna leave both of those and see what happens. Because it might give us a lot more tomatoes, which would be very nice. Got more clovers to pick. It's hard to see because I'm in the sun. I usually wait until they're almost completely puffed out because it sometimes takes a while for them to go from green, like that one, to completely purple. The red clovers are what I like best. I like them better than dandelions. So once I have a decent stockpile of them, I'm gonna try and make some red clover honey with the same recipe I'm gonna use for the dandelions. I expect it to be sweeter because red clovers have a much higher sugar content. But it's so early in the clover season that I think I have 10.